Good morning, fans. At MMA, our guest today is a media scientist, a journalist, a television presenter, and is one of the best athletes to come out of Germany. Our guest today is Julia Dorny. We'll be discussing judo, sumo, and MMA. Julia, thank you for joining us today.
James, thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
It's our pleasure. So, why did you fall in love with judo at such a young age?
I guess I've always been kind of active and I was never really into ball sports, any kind of ball sports. My mom tried it for me. But yeah, at early age I started being interested in fighting and also motorcycles. I was a off-road rider. And so I had to make a decision at one point when I was 7. My mom was like, well, either motocross or judo. So guess what I choose.
Nice. Awesome. Well, you chose well because it's definitely worked out for you.
Yes. Well, yeah, we would think so, huh?
So, why are you so passionate about topics that might typically be considered more masculine, like motorcycles, martial arts, sneakers, caps, and cars?
Yeah, that's a good one. I wish I would know that. I guess there's really no it's mostly the society, I guess, because they start to put you in like drawers at early age. This is a girl, it has to have pink, this is a boy, it has to be blue. Boys have to play with balls and girls have to play with dolls and all kind of stuff. So back in the days, luckily that changed, over time. But I guess ever since I grew up, I felt like, wow, I heard from so many people, what kind of girl is this? She's like interested in that kind of stuff. And, sneakers, caps, cars, all that stuff, and actually made it my profession, which is even more funny. So, being on TV, testing cars and motorcycles and doing the fighting, but also being still very feminine, doing all that girl stuff. So I think it's just a part of my nature. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I was meant to be a boy too. No, I'm kidding.
But I know what you mean. I was going to say people do what they love, and it sounds like you're very passionate about those topics.
Oh yes, I am for sure.
So, please tell us about your time at the Olympic Training Center.
Yeah, so I have to go a little back to that because when I first started judo and I saw like all those senseis on the mat with the black belts and German Eagle and the national stripes and competing internationally, it's like, man, one day I want to do that too. So that always made me look up to them, and I was always working hard for it. And that day when I was like 18, I received my black belt after a belt ceremony and graduation, and fighting internationally and stuff like that. It was just such an honor. But yeah, obviously when I was, I guess, 11 or 12, we had to make a decision. Which like kind of school I go to. And so we choose this sports for physical education, that focuses on Olympic sports, Sport- und Leistungszentrum in Berlin. And so yeah, when I was 12, grade 7, that was my path. So yeah, I started being in a national team at the age of, I believe, between 12 and 13. And yeah, just fought my way up. And obviously, the Olympic Center was connected to that school and all those facilities. So we would have school and train and school, all day long. The day started at, I guess, 8 in the morning, maybe 7:30 with training, and then we would go to school, and then we had practice at school. And then yeah, this is how it went. And from there forward, obviously at one point you graduate from school, but I always kept fighting. I never stopped. It's for me it was always the worst when people had to make a decision, either school or sport. But luckily I was always, I guess, good enough or smart enough to handle both. And so yeah, that's been my way. And even after that, I mean, I did my bachelor's and master's and journalistic training, or that was still, working full time, training full time, coaching other people. So people say, why do you do this to your private life and cut off so much of your own private life? And I said, I don't feel like I'm cutting off anything here because it's my passion. I love doing it and I love teaching and I love, gaining knowledge. And so I just always stayed with it.
Exactly. Yeah, I was going to say it's not work if you're doing what you love to do. I
You
agree
know,
with
it's nothing worse in the world. You know those people, I'm sure, and I hope I don't offend anybody, but you probably have to overthink your life situation if you feel like, oh my God, it's Monday, I have to go to work, or I can't wait for Friday, I can't wait for the weekend. No, man, you just have one life, so make it happen. Be happy, choose every day to be happy and go do something that you like. And sometimes it's just a little, I guess, dead end. You just have to realize you have to turn around and just go another way.
exactly. Yeah, you're right on that. Yeah, I mean, every day should be a joy. It shouldn't be, torture or have to, like you said, wait to the weekend. If
Yeah.
yeah, you need to be embracing it on a daily basis. I know what you mean. I know some folks like that struggle, and thinking it from a different perspective definitely could
I
help
mean,
you.
I get that point because we all have to make money, we all have to pay bills, but there's certainly jobs out there that you probably enjoy doing and they make you more happy and, not miserable with your life because, life is fragile and life is way too short anyway. So, make the best out of it.
Exactly. So, of the different combat styles that you're fluent in, judo, sumo, kickboxing, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, which were you strongest at?
James, this is hard to answer. Who am I strongest at? I mean, it's kind of funny. I mean, obviously judo's been my longest with 28 years of doing it. When I sometimes talk to people when they ask me about my background and oh my God, how can you be so skilled and whatever? I'm like, bro, I've been on that sport for 28 years. What do you expect? So many sessions, so many trainings, so many gyms around this globe. So some people are not even that old, and I'm like, oh gosh. They're like what, 19, 20, in their early 20s, and I'm like, man, I have to actually accept that I'm 35 myself. But yeah, like that's why I'm saying like probably I had like over 800 judo fights and actually, I only started MMA because prior to the Olympics in the when was it 20 like let's say around 2015 or so they changed the rules really bad. Like judo used to be, below the belt, below the obi. You could grab, you could attack legs, you could pick people up, and that was judo. And then they changed all the scoring, and that was like, my technique profile was like that. Like if people want to turn on a throw on me, and I would always block it and pick them up. That was my strengths
Yeah.
and my stuff. And at 2014 too, that was like the time when Ronda Rousey picked up being a judo champion star. And I know her like personally. We went to Mittersiel in Austria at the same training camp.
Oh,
So and
cool.
I just always followed her journey, and I was like, man, this is so cool. And I guess she had the same struggles, that's why she chose. She used to be the same fighting style as me, but a different weight class. She was one below me. So I don't know. And then my friend Dani Kortmann, she was like the first German world champion in the IMF at straw weight, and she obviously knew her from judo like a long time. And she's like, "Yeah, come to practice. Let's see." And I've always just been so in my judo bubble, and she took me, and I was like, "Wow." That's pretty cool. Like so many ways to do it, stand up, groundwork, throwing people through the air and all that stuff. Obviously, it's a different story coming from judo, getting hit in the face or punched in the face or kicked to the body. And I was like, the breathing is completely different. And you have to learn every time you get hit or punched that you exhale. And judo people, they just breathe differently. So I was like, in the beginning, I didn't like that. But, I just kept working and I loved it. And back in the days, I still fought judo with the Bundesliga, with the team, which is like the Champions League, and also individually. But in 2016, I made the decision to just, wait, no, 2017. That was when I just decided to just fight MMA and, BJJ and that kind of stuff because it was just too much stress on the body, competing judo, sumo, BJJ, MMA, it was just plus work, plus this. I just couldn't handle it.
So, would you say that would be the biggest setback that you had to overcome is just being overwhelmed at that point, or have you had any injuries or things that you've had to overcome during the years?
Lots of injuries. I've been working with my body so hard since an early age, and it's probably easier to ask me what part of my body wasn't injured. It's just part of the game, when I don't know. Unfortunately, it is part of the game. And I kind of had everything. I had the knee surgery, neck surgery, uh, abdominal hernia, like crazy stuff, a torn shoulder. It's not just that you can like, okay, fine, I'm gonna be back on the mat and I just focus on that because it's like big stuff. But even last year I couldn't fight anything because I had a torn labrum, I dislocated my clavics. It just took forever to heal.
Oh, dang. Yeah. Sheesh. So it
And
sounds
people
like
obviously don't see that. They just see the 3 times 5 minutes or the 15 minutes or, the personal struggles, those injuries, everything that's also, affecting your mind and mentality, it's there. And I know saying that I'm not the only person. There's a lot of people, but some people, they're just lucky going through with like weaker injuries, if that makes
Mhm.
sense. Like you hurt yourself, but they can go back and as if nothing would really happen. But there's other people that really struggle hard, and that's why you need a good support system around you. You go in there by yourself and you have a corner with you, but in the end it's you. So yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I was going to say that is one of those things that I've learned in sports. It's okay to be hurt. It's not okay to compete injured. And just the dramatic difference in the two over the years. When I used to work for a football organization, American football organization, I was going to say, yeah, don't you be like soccer? No, I,
No, Fußball, yeah, that's what we call it, but I know the difference at this point.
but yeah, definitely, because you'd have different players, and they would they would have they would be hurt, and that's fine. But yeah, when they're injured, they'd want to go out there still, and you're like, no, no, you're injured. You can't because that's going to exasperate your problem, and we definitely don't need that.
I was gonna say also when you do something like really professionally and with a lot of passion and you make your money off of it and whatever, it's just part of the game, I guess, too, in fighting that your pain tolerance gets a lot higher. And when you're injured and you kick that level, oh my goodness, it is serious.
Definitely. Now you had mentioned Ronda Rousey, and I kind of thought about asking this question, and I was like, nah, I ain't gonna ask it. But after you mentioning her, it got me wanting to ask the question. Have you ever considered doing like stunt work or being in the movies or anything like that? Um,
Oh, hell yes, of course. I mean, I'm very used to being in front of the camera, anchoring, reporting, all that kind of stuff anyway. And when I was younger, I used to play in oh, what is it called? Theater, like you're like an actor yourself, but back in school and stuff like that. And I have my podcast and I've always liked to be in front of the camera doing all that kind of stuff. So yeah, definitely stunts and acting, I love it. It's cool. Like I could definitely see myself doing it.
Awesome. Yeah, I was going to say I'll have to introduce you to this fella who writes for Lionsgate, Avi Klein. Really great fella. He actually runs an organization, and he writes movies. And heck, he could probably write a movie for you as the star because he is phenomenal.
James, if you can make this happen, man, you'll get a commission on that.
Sounds good. So, of your
Appreciate
countless,
it.
my pleasure. Of your countless championships, which one meant the most to you?
Surviving. No, I'm just saying because, there's so many great moments, obviously. I remember my very first judo tournament, how I had no clue what I was doing there. And I just went on the mat and threw those girls. And the referee, in fact, had to like kind of stop me and said, well, it's over, you won. And, but I also obviously, the stuff that you really, really work hard for. 2018, the European champion title, and then even traveling to Bahrain as the reigning European champion, wearing the golden kit, and then actually feeling my opponent tapping out because I was armbarring her. I was like, wow, that means I just actually won the world championships. Holy shit, that's fucking great. Like those moments stay, and then you're like all full of adrenaline and happy, and then you're like, whoa, only one. Well, there must be more. Then you keep going and going and going. But yeah, that was probably those two, my very first judo tournament and then the world champion title. My very first world champion title.
In those type of championships, was there someone you fought on a consistent basis? Was there like a rival that you had?
That's funny because in the IMF, International Mixed Martial Arts Federation, which is like the biggest, biggest and strongest amateur promotion out there with, I don't know, over 100 countries at this point joining. And there was always Team Finland, Germany and Team Finland. So throughout my fights there, I fought a lot of Finnish women, and Jenny Kivioja, yeah, she was one of those girls, and had to face her in the European Championship final and also in the World Championship final. So yeah, it's always been, but this is the good thing that I like so much. It's always been super respectful and friendly, no stupidity. Just we wanted to be the best, obviously, in a fair game, and that's it. This is what I really
Excellent.
like about the sport.
So it was very competitive, but yet, like you said, very respectful, as opposed to some of the things you see the guys do on TV.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, they do some knucklehead stuff.
We were friendly before. We had like a dinner award with, the best athletes there. And then we were like all dressed up, took pictures together with the coaches, and the next day we knew, okay, it's rival. We go in there and but we will be good. And then after, hugging, kisses, a lot of nice words, and I do like that stuff. And even people tell me all the time, yeah, you have to be a little more of an asshole and talk this and that. And I'm like, you know what? I might sell more tickets with that or, put my name out there more, but if this is the price I have to pay, I'd rather choose to be, a
Be
friendly, good
yourself,
person.
exactly. Yeah,
Myself, yeah.
yeah. Oh, and then in general, or some sports in general, always have been a big part of your life. What does it mean to love and live martial arts?
Well, since I only experienced myself in the world of martial arts, I can only speak from that, but I can say that it's, made me, I guess, who I am. It showed me so many things that I had to learn about myself. It showed me to be resilient. It showed me to be a good person on and off the mats, to be a role model, have people look up to you, that you can help, eventually they do something you taught them, and you're like, yeah, nice. So I guess it's just, I mean, I'm definitely dedicated. I'm a hard worker. I would always cut off my sleeve to get something achieved. Um, I guess this is maybe it was just meant to be. It was my platform. It's even funny when I look at my tattoo, for example. This is love, loyalty, and judo. And judo is mean the gentle way, And my initials, Julia Dorny, it's judo. So I was like, wow, this is really interesting. So maybe it was just meant to be.
Exactly. It seems like it. I mean, gosh. Yeah, I mean, they're definitely, I mean, how would your parents know to name you that and it end up working out that way?
Believe me, though, it's not always easy, especially with the older generation. I'm talking about grandparents and the eldest in the family, when they are like, man, when can you give us like a grandchild? When do you do something normal? Can you please stop the fighting? It's so terrible. I don't want to see you getting hurt or bloody or bruised. Or can you just be like in the office and do your journalism and, be smart at once? For once, I mean. So I don't know. I still have to kind of fight that. But, I know that my time is also, kind of going backward at this point because I cannot do it forever. I probably have like, let's say, 2 more good years or something, and then I have to say thank you very much. That's been it.
But that is awesome that how you've been able to be so well rounded and not just an athlete. You, like you said, you've been able to have the media presence as well. And that is just phenomenal because there are a lot of athletes out there that just, that they're one sided or, people that aren't in sports that would love to be in sports but are kind of restricted. So that is kind of cool how you've been able to be on both sides of the fence. Um, how have you progressed on your goal of becoming a sensei?
I guess it's just part of the process too, I've you obviously pick up from your first coaches and all these coaches. I had like so many coaches in my life, let alone the home club coach and the national coaches and those coaches and then you change, you get older, you have different coaches. So obviously you always pick up on their way of teaching, and doing things and then eventually figuring out yourself and how you would do it. And yeah, I guess I have my really individual style. Like I'm very straightforward and I'm strict, but I'm also, friendly, but I can be very pushy. I know that certain people need that kind of like, let's go. But
Yeah.
I can also be really calm, depending on my how do you say, the person that is in front of me or
Yeah,
the
you're a
person
student.
I'm
Yeah.
working. Yeah.
Yeah. One of your little warriors.
Oh, my little warriors for sure, that too, yeah. You know, that's been great too. Like I started coaching, I guess, when I was 15, 16 or something like that. And you obviously keep doing it, and then the kids grow up and whatever, and then they reach out to you on, back in the days on Facebook, or they still have your number. They send you pictures and you're like, who is this? Like, hey, don't you remember me? I'm Mo from da 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 da. And yeah, I'm actually married now. And we're expecting a child. Oh, I was like, oh my God. Like, you just remember this little one. And now
Mhm.
he's actually having his own family. And, it's just so that when they invite you to their wedding or something, you're like, man, thank you so much. I did not expect that. But yeah, it's great. That's cool. That's also the thing that I'm saying. Like time is just flying. Like I'm 35 now. 10 years ago, I thought, wow, I'm so well-rounded. But those decades in between, they really do something.
I know what you mean.
So
Time does fly by it. And the crazy thing, as you get older, it goes faster. And it's hard to believe. But yeah, shoot. I mean, I remember being a kid and thinking it took forever to get to Christmas. And now that I have my own kid, Christmas just flies by.
right, you feel like, wasn't it just Easter? Now we have to get Christmas gifts again.
Exactly. It's crazy. Oh, shoot. So it sounds like you've had some successes with your little warriors. Tell us a little bit about that.
You mean my kids training in
Yeah.
general, or? Well, as I said, I started at early age, and that was obviously, to make some extra money, as a student. And I just kept doing it, and eventually last year I started having my own business in the States. That's pretty cool for a German to have an own incorporation, uh, at Julia Dorny Performance. And so I teach technically everybody. I teach men, I teach women, I teach kids, whatever's needed. I do women's self-defense. I offer judo. I offer whatever they want to do. I also have like, I'm not even kidding. Like I was, last year when I was so injured, I started working for UFC gym here in Plantation. And then the time I was hired, because once you're on the system, you can do all these certifications, I guess kind of for free.
Mhm.
So I was already a licensed coach for judo and physical education and fitness. But I did like over 55 more
Oh,
certificates in
wow.
that time for everything, for absolutely every, like if I tell you what I classes I did, which is probably worth between 10 and 20 K, I was like, I love knowledge, and I was hurt anyway. And I just coaching, I guess I was missing something. So I liked educating myself, and I did all these certifications. And I'm like, that's pretty cool coming home from work and then sitting on the computer and keep going. So that was cool. So, and then I was like, let me just start my own business, man. It's about time.
Awesome. Now, switching gears, what is a media scientist?
A media scientist knows a lot about media and the history of media and media economy and media reception and framing and different communication models and strategies. And it's really helped me a lot, for my journalism and corporate communication to have that knowledge on top of that. So a lot more, when the journalism is more practicable, like more, yeah, practicable. The media science gives you the deeper knowledge, the academic stuff. And yeah, so as I said, you learn about media dynamics, media economics, media performance, about history, how certain things have developed, or also user behavior, how user receive the media, how certain things are framed. That's actually been my master's topic.
Oh, wow.
Um, the framing is so interesting, how you have your frame, and as a journalist, they call it I guess the red line, roter Faden. And how you, as a journalist, you have to be obviously objective. And
Mhm.
it's not always easy because nobody knows where you come from and what you have experienced, whatever. But so we say objectiveness, right? But then again, they're obviously having a subjective objectiveness,
I know what
because
you mean.
you have the way you grew up and you see the world and you see anyway, and then they have a certain idea and they say, okay, write the plot, write it down, and then let's find the people that we need to make the story happen, whatever. And then you start filming it, framing it, and then it's already happened. So you put in those frames what you see, and then obviously other people see it. And that's very interesting, for example, in political elections or in MMA. Back in the days when it was forbidden in Germany, it wasn't allowed to be on the TV. Nobody was allowed to speak about it
Oh,
because it was
dang.
so dangerous. Yeah, yeah. So that was my entire master thesis about it was banned from German TV for 5 years and we eventually got it back. So I got to talk to all the attorneys that helped, get that done, to the media stations itself, to the German press office, which is a national institution, and yeah, all kinds of stuff. And then when you figure it out and you put it together and you put numbers and analyze data and articles and apply it to moving pictures. And yeah, it was really interesting. So I was going to say my research took me over a year on that one, but I was happy I did it. Believe me, though, a couple of times I wanted to throw everything out of the window and be like, I hate it. But then in the end, when, everything is handed in and you get your marks and you're like, it was worth it. Nice.
Awesome. So, what is the difference between Women Hit Harder and the Female Power podcast?
Well, technically, it's all one name, but
Oh, it's one. Oh, cool.
it's called Women Hit Harder, the Female Power Podcast. But eventually, I used the first part, Women Hit Harder, as my own brand. So, coming to merch, Yeti cups, t-shirts, on gloves, all that stuff. So, Women Hit Harder is my brand. And yeah, also when I started doing self-defense a couple of years ago, it was called Women Hit Harder Self-Defense. But
Nice.
obviously, I also had sometimes I had male people in there. But I guess you know who's a good person, a good man, and not a good man. So who would take advantage of that knowledge or whatnot. So
I know what you mean. Yeah, there are some bad guys out there, but yeah, the trick is finding the right ones and having them help out, and definitely with, like you said, the self-defense seminars and different things like that. Um,
yeah.
so tell us about this quote. Because I've learned one thing, it's how fragile life can be and how selfish and short-sighted we are when we believe we can eventually do things that mean something to us. What's that
Yeah,
quote?
that's kind of all what when we first started the interview today, it's what I'm saying. Like, make something of your life. You don't even know if you live tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. And I don't want to sound very negative because I'm not. Just saying, like, look, these little things. I'm in Florida right now. I have the coffee in the morning. I have my dog here. And it's probably stupid little things, but they make me very happy. Knowing that later, after we're done, I have to do my things, which I like doing. I'm gonna go to the gym. I'm gonna go train. I'm gonna help people. So if, let's say, I would not like any of this, I would probably be miserable and be like, oh. So then if you're not happy, just change something or stop complaining. Either or. And I know some people deal also with depression and then mentally sick, or they don't know how to handle themselves and they pretend to be happy throughout the day and then they come home to the quietness and but find some help. You're not alone. This is what I'm saying. Life is fragile. Enjoy it. Like if you're lucky, we're gonna be 100. What is 100 years compared to the life of the earth? You know what I mean? And and obviously when you're young, you have your parents telling you what to do, then you start getting into puberty, you experience yourself in a different level, hormones take over. Then you're still kind of in school, university, doing your thing. I guess only at like 30, you start being your real self, an adult, taking care of yourself. And even then, like you would probably confirm this, like now you have kids, you see it from your own perspective, how it is to be a parent. You're like, dang it, I never thought about this way, but interesting. Be open, be understanding. I'm not saying like let people play with you or whatever, but everybody has a perspective and there's so many different angles. A circle has 360 degrees for a reason. So that's pretty much what I meant. I hope that makes sense.
It does. Julia, it has been a pleasure having you on the show. Before we let you go, where on social media, where on the web can we find out more about you and your different endeavors?
Okay, so first of all, Instagram at Julia Dorny. Then Facebook, I think it's at Team Dorny. Then I have YouTube at Julia Dorny. You can also just try to find women hit harder, women as in plural. Then you'll find my podcast and then you go to my channel. Then there's my webpage, www.juliadorny.com. What else am I missing? Oh, LinkedIn, just the good stuff. I don't like Snapchat. I don't like Twitter no more. And yeah,
I know what you
very,
mean.
very
Some of,
basic.
yeah, some of them can be kind of annoying. But yeah, it has been a pleasure having you on the show today, talking about just how well-rounded, how Renaissance person you are, being able to be, able to do the fighting, but also have that intellectual side as well. And it's been a pleasure discussing that with you today.
James, thank you so much. Likewise, thank you for having me. And yeah, keep going, keep doing what you're doing. I like it. And God bless and have a good day and enjoy your coffee.